All right, so now that we have our pages set up exactly what we want, we're gonna go ahead and get our side imaging, or side scan and down scan in our whole page that we've sort of selected. You can see, of course, up top, we have our mapping. Down low, we have our side scan, and then over to our left is our down scan. Now, if we go into here, the first thing we're gonna do is, and we need to select as the personal user in figuring out exactly what you wanna do, we're gonna slide over here to our down scan image and select what palette we're gonna go with. Now, personally, for me, I believe like Lowrance's default is 10, but I do like that quite a bit. I know a lot of people that like, I used to like 8 back in the day. So like carbons, I really used to like 8 was my favorite palette for down scan and in the down scan look. But realistically, it does seem like it's a cleaner image on that 10. So I just sort of roll with 10 on that one. And then I roll with, I mean, there's times, I don't know, sometimes I will go back and forth on blue, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with 10 today. So we have 10, palette 10. So how do we adjust our downscan image right here? We're gonna go ahead, we have the frequency at 700. Let's first, sort of see what that changes right there, okay? So your contrast, it's on auto contrast right now. So you can see sort of the image overall. I've not played with this a ton, so we're gonna sort of play with it today. I think bumping that up at 1200 kilohertz and chirp. Let's just roll with the 1200. Let's just roll with the 1200 right now. Now, so I feel like right now we are contrast. We're gonna roll contrast. We're gonna roll 88%. You see how I bumped that up right there. So I'm bumping up the contrast to give me a better, cleaner image, crisper image. The problem is, okay, the more contrast, the more you're gonna blow your image out. And what I mean by that is, if there's something there, you might not see the you might be able to differentiate, like it's harder to see. And I'll explain as we idle a little bit what I'm talking about, but I wanted to set this up a little bit before we got into all the intricate details of side imaging and everything else. So now that we have that set up right there, it is at 90%, 1200 chirp. We're gonna slide over here to the bottom right, and get our side scan image set up. Palette number 10, sounds good to me. Contrast, again, I don't like a contrast on auto contrast. I like to adjust it accordingly. And so I'm going to adjust him, even though we're not idling right now, it's harder to see that. 70s, I don't want it too blown out, but I want him, we're actually gonna start to idle a little bit here for you guys. Let's start to idle a little bit and sort of get this figured out. As we sort of start this idling process, you're gonna get a better image of what's going on. I'll sort of show you a little bit of a few things of what's happening and what's going on. So you can sort of see, as we idle down through this area, this is sort of like a ledge, and I'll slide out a little bit further so you guys can sort of see more what I'm talking about. This is softer bottom right here to my right. You can sort of see there's a lot of gray bottom, or like a lot, not gray, but it's lighter. Typically the brighter the return, the more, like, the harder the bottom is, okay? So you can start to see we're actually pretty bright right here, okay? It's pretty bright right here, so this is like the ledge, which typically most ledges, because they are towards the main river, are gonna be a little bit more of a harder bottom. So as we idle down through here, you can sort of see off to your right, far right, it's soft. Off the far left, you can see how that breaks off right there. And as we idle down through there, might be a little grass, a little clump of grass or something like that. I'm gonna go ahead, it looks pretty good, but I'm gonna go ahead and adjust it a little bit more. The one thing you're gonna notice when you adjust your contrast is everything in figuring out what's going on and what your units are really getting the best image out of your Lowrance unit. So for me, at 100 feet, we have our range set at 100 feet, which is a good range. If you're a beginner to side scan, you might want to bring your range out to 80 feet. That'll help you really just be able to decipher what you're seeing a little bit better. But for me, a lot of times I'm at 100 to 120, depending on what if I'm trying to find cover and like stumps and brush and rock and all those things, I'll actually bump it out to a 120. So as we idle down through here, you're gonna sort of see, and we're at chirp 455, our range is 100 feet, our contrast 77%. I feel pretty good about that. Now, if you'll see, like as we bump this contrast up, we'll be able to see more further. So like, if I'm trying to see further out into softer bottom, I'll bump my contrast up to like in the 80s to where I can see out there a little bit more. But you literally blew out your image from 40 feet on each side. You really can't see a whole lot going on. I do have my down imaging and my down scan that I can see what's happening, but I can't really get a good image there. So that's why I'll bump it back down to that 70-ish. So, but it does give you a more like pronounced understanding of what's happening. You sort of see over here to the right, that's probably a bait ball. You can sort of see the shadow, bait ball over to the left. And there's a lot of different things that are sort of going down through here. There's a little bit of some grass or something that's probably growing on this ledge. But that's just sort of how it sets up. So let's jump into a different frequency just to show you guys a little bit of what that looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and slide into it, back off. All right, so the one thing that you're gonna have to understand as you select your Lowrance unit, or you get into and adjust a lot of things, you're gonna have to select the page that you wanna edit. So you'll see that there's a highlighted little orange box around the page that I'm editing at the time. So selecting that allows for you to edit that particular page. Right now we are on side scan over here to the left, boom. Now we're on down scan, so selecting that image is gonna allow for you to edit the features on that image. So if you go up here, obviously your mapping, you're only gonna be able to edit your mapping and sort of adjust those things accordingly. So sliding back down to down scan, we're gonna go into here. We have, we're at 455. Let's talk a little bit about the chirp. It is 1075. Let's see what we got right here. So if your images looks like this, now we're at 80%. We're the exact same as what 455 was. In a general rule of thumb, 455 is gonna give you a little bit less detail further out, or a little bit less detail but it's going to give you more distance to see what's out there. That's why typically I prefer 45, but if you're trying to get a little bit better of more detail on your Lowrance units, you can actually go to that 1075 and sort of get a better image on the little subtle details. Now, but the one thing that you're gonna have to do instantly is go ahead and go back into contrast and bump your contrast up. This is gonna allow for you to see a little bit more. And the one thing that I also would recommend on that higher frequency is to shrink your overall distance out. And so what I'm doing right here, I might go to 80. So now I'm really trying to fine tune the overall look of what I'm trying to see. So I'm sort of dialing in a little bit more, and it's just personal preference. If you personally like that, and your eyes, can see a little bit better. Let me try to find something that I can bring this up, and let me see here. I'll find you guys something that I can show you a little bit more detail. Because right now it's just a ledge. So now we're idling out here, looking, trying to sort of see what's. Got a little grass. That was literally a grass clump just went across the. You'll see that little deal, a little grass clump going across there. All right, so you can see right here, here's a little rock row. We got a rock row, and I feel like my contrast is a little high. It's blown out a little bit. There's some fish down there on that. Very interesting. But you can sort of see, I even think, like over here on my left, so I'm sitting here trying to dial this unit in a little bit. I even think over here on my left, if you can see that, I think it's blown out a little bit. So I'm gonna actually bring my contrast and my down scan down, because I feel like I'm not getting my target separation. You'll sort of see what I'm talking about right there. Your target separation is going to be a little bit less. So here's more. It's just a blob. Whereas I sort of loosen that up a little bit and go down, I'm going to get a little bit better target separation on those dots and those fish that are sitting right there. Lots and lots of bait, lots of stuff going right there. I'm gonna go one more time, turn back around. Looks pretty good, it does. It looks pretty good. I still prefer the overall look of 455 just because I don't have to change it much and I'm trying to sort of see what's going on out there, and I've gotten used to that. But if you want a higher frequency on your Lowrance unit, it definitely seems to work fine. Now, as far as down scan goes, it seems like it works. I'm sort of indifferent on the down scan image whether it's 1200 or 700. I think they both do a good job, and I think they both have a good image and good clean image. So that is a good image right there of what a rock row looks like on the 1075 kilohertz. Now let's just go ahead, just for giggles, let's go ahead and go to 455 and adjust back to sort of give you guys the contrast of what they both look like, just to see. Does it look any better? Does it not? There's the rock row. Now the down scan image is not going to be changed, of course, but there's a rock row on 455. So a little bit more, definitely not as much detail. You could definitely see that, I feel like, but you're going to see it a little bit better because you'll be able to go back and forth. It doesn't seem like there's as much detail, but still pretty good. You know it's a rock row, you understand it's something there, and you're good to go. So that is really what makes a Lowrance unit to me so awesome. Is it's very simple. The system processor that they work and everything that they have in these units, they're easily to deal with. They very seldom ever mess up, and they're really bulletproof. That's the reason why I run a lot of these products. And I mean, look, I'm a free agent. I can run whatever I want. I have different units. I have 100 on this boat, and I'm always testing things. But for you as a consumer, I wanted to do a video to sort of give you an understanding of how I set these up, a little bit of the advantages of each, and ultimately, hopefully, this helps you out when you're trying to dial in on the water and get a little bit of understanding. Now, we're going to do another video later on where it's already out on the channel, and we're going to talk a little bit more of the in-depth. What are you looking at with your side scan, side and down? In-depth look of exactly what we're talking about. So if you're going to want to look at that later on, it's going to be a good one for sure. But hopefully you learned a little bit something from this video. It's I enjoy electronics. I enjoy the intricate details of utilizing these units and understanding them, and it helps you be a little bit more efficient out there on the water. So hopefully this video helped you out, and thank you so much.